Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Bodybuilding Motion. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about deadlifts, and if you can't deadlift, what should you do? So there's been a bit of a deadlift worship going on social media for the last 10 years. It's like, you know, the almighty deadlift's the best possible thing, all that sort of stuff, right? But a lot of you guys who have been here for a while, or some of you guys who might be new, know that I don't deadlift, not from the floor. I used to, I did for a while, but I found that it just was way harder on the lower back than it was on the muscles that I wanted to hit. And it was hard on the lower back in a bad way, not necessarily in a good way, just because of the way I'm built and no matter how flexible I got. I found that when I was deadlifting from the floor, my back was a little bit rounded, and no matter how much stretching I did, just because of the way I'm built with the short arms and all that, it just didn't work. And I, you know, I gave it a good try. You know, I got up to 455 for reps and all that. But I finally found, or at least decided to, stick to a different deadlift, which was more effective for me, and at the same time gave me way more development without so much mileage on the ligaments and the discs in the back. And that was the Romanian deadlift. So if you're having a lot of lower back issues and you're deadlifting from the floor, you might want to consider switching to the Romanian deadlift or a rack deadlift on the squat rack, right? Those two are options. Now, the reason why I like the Romanian deadlift is because it's a constant tension exercise, where when people do rack deads, they're resting and then they're lifting, they're resting and they're lifting. And that could be one of those movements that is, I don't know, I find when I have to re-engage the muscles over and over again, relax and engage, I find that the chance for injury is a bit higher. That's me, because I find the tense muscles keep the body and the joints in the right positioning, and to loosen them for a moment and then tighten them again can sometimes be a challenge, especially with the postural muscles. It can sometimes cause a problem. But the Romanian deadlift is one of the things that I landed on, is great for hamstring work, and it does work the back and the posterior chain quite a bit. Now, the one thing I want to say, or at least there's a couple more things I want to say, so don't turn this video off, okay? All right, if you're having lower back problems, don't turn it off yet. The other thing you might want to try, if you're doing Romanian deadlifts and you're using the barbell and you're still getting some lower back issues, do the Romanian deadlift with dumbbells, because you can keep the dumbbells closer to your legs, and therefore it's not quite as hard on the lower back. It's much easier, actually. And that's actually how I rehabilitated a disc injury. I did a lot of dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. So I still got a lot of hamstring work, but I didn't get quite as much strain on the lower back, which allowed me to rehabilitate the posterior chain. So this is a great way to do the Romanian deadlifts, get some posterior chain work, get some strength work, and some flexibility and strength for the hamstrings, but you're not necessarily putting so much mileage on a back injury or something that might be a bit tweaky, right? So that's one thing. Now, the other thing I would suggest, if all the deadlift stuff is destroying you, is find a gym, or you might want to purchase this piece of equipment, and it's called a reverse hyper. And a reverse hyper is a great way of firing the hamstrings, firing the lower back, but at the same time you're not putting the lower back at risk, because there's not necessarily constant tension on the discs and on the erector spinae. You'll see what I'm saying once you pull up a picture or a video of the reverse hyper, but because you're lifting the legs and your back is supported the whole time, you're going to be able to work that posterior chain, but you're not necessarily going to be putting or exploiting any instability in the lower back. So you're not going to have to worry about disc injuries and that sort of thing. So it's a great way actually to rehabilitate the lower back injuries from deadlifts or from squats. And that's what a lot of the powerlifters do, or the real big strength athletes, right? So the reverse hyper is one of those things you can try. Now, a cheap reverse hyper, and I'm not saying this is even exactly a reverse hyper, but something cheap is you use a TRX strap like I have in my garage, and do hamstring curls with that. And I'll show you a clip here. You're doing hamstring curls, but what you can do is just press the ass towards the sky every single time you do a hamstring curl. And from doing so, you're actually working the extension muscles, right? The part of the hamstring that's responsible for extension, along with the glutes, and you're working the hamstring bicep at the same time. Now, I'm not saying this is a replacement fully for the Romanian deadlift, but this may get you in the right direction in order to rehabilitate a lower back weakness or injury, but at the same time be able to work the hamstrings through a decent range of motion. So yeah, if you're not able to deadlift, don't worry about it. I don't deadlift, not from the floor anyway. There's many different ways of deadlifting. And again, you want to use the body efficiently, and you don't want to necessarily injure it just for the sake of ego or saying I have to do a certain exercise. There's lots of ways to get great results in the body, and you don't have to deadlift from the floor to do it. Motion. So yeah, I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. And yeah, if you want to tune into a podcast, every week I got a podcast on Patreon, so check that out. Link is in the description. And thanks a lot to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. So many leaves. I got to collect so many leaves today to sell you guys. Exercise leaves. All right, wind, don't blow away all my profits. Hey?